because you have more cases. But anyway, let's pretend that's true. Let's pretend the system's totally racist.
Actually, there's more white people in the system because white people make up like what, like
no, for sure.
So you're just incorrect there, right? Like you're doing to me.
But they don't commit as many crimes.
Okay, so let's be cordial. Let's be cordial.
You're not being, so let's calm down a little bit, okay?
You're not being.
Am I being sweet to this guy?
Okay, but
all right. Let me ask you one question in closing, though. If you could say to Black America, here is more money, more stuff, more housing, or more fathers, which one would you choose?
More funding. I don't think.
It doesn't matter. If he's held liable for something, he did it.
The threshold of civil and criminals, two completely different things.
So you want to say they're guilty when it's immigrants, but not when it's Trump?
Hold on.
You think there should be harder standards for someone to get into the country than become president?
Illegal immigrants are felons.
I don't care. That's not my question.
You just brought that up.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back again to a new video, guys. Today, we're going to check out Charlie, Kirk, and arrogant students. This is a compilation of him destroying, dismantling, I think 3 arrogant students during this video. This is going to be amazing to watch. Calling Charlie kick because he loves kicking us. Let's get right into today's video, guys.
Right. So when segregation ended, right, black people, or when slavery ended, actually, black people were just forced wherever, right? So they had nowhere to go. And then there was laws put in place to put them into prison. And after...
Okay. It's okay. No. What's your name? Guys, what's your name?
Jackson.
It takes a lot of courage to come up here.
Yeah, no,
Let's just take a deep breath. I'm not here to pick on you.
No,
I appreciate it. No, it's okay. I know this can be very intimidating getting a crowd like this, so just take a deep breath. Let me make your argument. I'm going to make your argument for you, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's wrong. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the argument that is being made, that you want to make, is that there's legacies of injustice.
Yes.
And that those legacies impact one generation after the other. And when those things get handed down, you have what is a system or a systemic issue that isn't just isolated in 2024. So the argument that you're making is that what happened in 1954 does impact 2024 of decade after decade after decade. Let me tell you my response to that. Of course, there is some truth to that. However, every culture, every person in this audience can point to issues that families or generations prior had that were able to overcome. So the question is, why is it that Black America is one of the only populations, that and Native American populations, that have not been able to overcome such evil, horrors, and injustices? Here's my perspective, and I want to hear what you have to say, is that the number one way to keep people out of poverty, lower the crime rate, and have a better society is whether or not you have a mom and a dad around. Would we agree that's an ideal? Yeah? Cool.
Yeah.
So what happened in 1964 is that 25% of Black youth were raised by a single mom. Today, it's nearly 75%, about 70%. So that means that 1 in 4 Black kids will have a father around. Only 1 in 4. That's the number one issue happening in the country, and it's not because of systemic racism. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Okay. So I think I misjudged you at first. Like when you brought up the 1350 stat, I had just assumed that it was inherently eugenics based kind of, so, and that's where mine came from. I think we are on the same page that we know what the problem is, and that's what I mean.
Thank you for saying that, because I think we actually have a lot more in common in this country than the media would ever believe.
No, definitely, right? And my point was, I was trying to say is, I don't think that we're doing enough to help these Black communities catch up, whereas they're underfunded and they're not, and they're over-policed, and there's these factors that are contributing to, like you said, these single-parent households.
Yeah, so we're not going to agree on this. This is where we'll disagree, and that's okay. I have more of a view of Thomas Sowell on this, where he believes it's far more about culture, values, and worldview than stuff and over-policing. I believe there's not enough police in Black neighborhoods. You're going to disagree with that. Let's not even get into it, okay? But I think we can ask a question, and I want your opinion. Why is it that the single motherhood rate in Black America went from 25% to 75% over 50 years, where America did become less racist?
Why did it?
Yeah, so what caused Black America to go from one of the strongest nuclear family communities in the country to now the weakest by far?
I can't answer your question.
No, that's okay. No, that's great. And again, it's hard to get up and have these conversations. Here's my opinion. My opinion is that yes, there was some social welfare that subsidized single motherhood, which means it's easier to get cash from the government if you say you are single than if you are married. I think we can agree that's stupid. That shouldn't happen, right? But I would love your perspective on this. Do you think in black culture, getting married and staying with one woman for your entire life is elevated and celebrated?
No, not at all.
I think that's the problem.
I think the problem stems from a lack of education. I think these communities don't have. I don't think a lot of them have the proper education or learning from previous to realize what will lead them to a more successful future. I think that if we funded more education in these systems, then these men wouldn't be so focused on stuff like gang violence to get protection or money or
you have a
other
great
stuff like that, and then end up in prison and then end up with their child having a single mother.
Fair enough. So
sorry, I didn't.
No, it's great. Well. So there's a lot of examples that there's some merit to your argument, but it's more about the quality of education than the amount of money we spend on it.
Yeah.
Such as that's why I'm a big proponent of school choice and educational vouchers and opposing the teacher unions. But the core is this. Is that the number one predictor for a kid of any skin color, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, is whether or not dad is around.
True.
Right.
And I look, as an outsider, albeit, at current black culture, right? From the athletes to the rap music to the music, I don't see the nuclear family elevated. Nor is it an internal black cultural expectation. Now, I will ask some of the white individuals here in this audience, okay? If you guys got pregnant and all of a sudden you didn't even know who the father was around, how would your parents react? Not great, right? Yes? Unfortunately, in black America, this is kind of accepted. Would you agree?
I can't say. I grew up around a lot of white people, so I can't
all right,
say.
Okay,
like,
but it is a fact that it is accepted, right? So that's the problem. The problem is that it's a cultural norm that has then turned into the cycle of poverty. The cycle of poverty can break very quickly if fathers stayed with the women they impregnate.
But most of these fathers aren't just leaving. A large majority of these fathers are ending up in prison. Like this is
good point. Why do you go to prison?
Commits crime.
Because you commit crime. But
because
the prison system has been targeted against minorities.
Again, we're not going to agree here,
right,
and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's actually under enforcement of the laws when it comes where there's, for example, only half of murders in Chicago get solved.
Right, but are
they
all black people though?
Almost all of them, yeah. Like 80,
well,
80.
If they're not solved, how do we know that they're black people?
Well, because it's a black victim in a black neighborhood by a black gang. So it's like you can assume at a great approximation that in the west side of Chicago,
50% of the murders in Chicago that go unsolved are all black people.
Not all. No, I said 85%. But we don't know who the perp is. But again, if you have a black victim at 2 a.m. in a black neighborhood, it's reasonable to say that it was a black on black crime. 90% of murders after 2 a.m. in Chicago are black on black crimes. I'm from Chicago. Right. I happen to know it. Right. But like half of all murders in Chicago are unsolved, which that means half of all murderers are walking free. So we have an under enforcement of laws. We have the ladies here in this audience should know this. You know that there's over 600,000 rape kits in this country that have not even been opened or tested, which means that there are women who say that they've been raped and their kits are not even put in the system. There are probably hundreds of thousands of rapists that walk free in this country.
Yeah, no, our system is
no.
Totally
What I'm saying
terrible.
though, that's an under enforcement of laws, though.
Yeah, because our system is terrible.
No, I know, but you said we have an over enforcement. I don't think we have enough people in jail.
You don't think we have enough people?
No, like I said, half of all murderers walk free. We don't even know who they are.
Okay, but I sure, whatever. But I'm talking. I don't think that I don't think that black people are as more than 50% of exonerations from prison are black people. Like a black person is more likely than any other race to be tried for a crime that they did not commit, and then to be released from prison for a crime that they did not commit.
That's not totally true. Let's pretend that it is. It's because they're in front of the justice system more because of the high crime. But let's try to find some agreement.
I'm talking percentages of exonerations.
No, it's because they're in the system more, though. It's because you have more cases. But anyway, let's pretend that's true. Let's pretend the system's totally racist.
Actually, there's more white people in the system because white people make up
no, for sure.
So you're just incorrect there, right? Like you're doing to me.
But they don't commit as many crimes.
Okay, so let's be cordial. Let's be cordial.
You're not being, so let's calm down a little bit, okay?
You're not being.
Am I being
this
sweet to this guy?
students.
Okay,
Like,
but
all right, let me ask you one question in closing, though. If you could, okay, if you could say to Black America, here is more money, more stuff, more housing, or more fathers, which one would you choose?
More fathers.
more funding. I don't think because fathers. I think that you need to solve the problem from the bottom. I don't think you can just plant a bunch of fathers in and they're going to stay there. Like you said, they're just going to like in the culture. It's not part of the culture, so they would just leave.
It's a hypothetical, meaning if the fathers were to stay.
Were to stay?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. If I just knew for 100% fact that they were going to stay.
No,
sure.
we have agreement. So during the BLM stuff 4 years ago, did we hear anything from the national BLM leaders or anybody about black dads staying around with women they impregnate? Did anyone mention that?
No.
Why? It's the fundamental issue. The fundamental issue is if you have a father around, less likely to commit crimes, more likely to graduate high school, more likely to get a job, less likely to be in poverty.
How do we get there? Like, this is what I'm like.
No,
how do we get there?
Well, the first of which is you must raise the standard of expectation, both internally and externally in the black community, that we're not going to put up with men, because we're both men, fleeing the women that they impregnate.
Yeah.
That we will say to men that flee the women that they impregnate, you're a loser, we're not going to tolerate you, we're not going to be friends with you, that you're the scum of the earth, that if you impregnate a woman and you just run away from them.
Most definitely.
Do we do that right now?
I don't think all men do. I think this is very common. What's the word I'm looking? I think this is very common in just masculine culture in general. Is that men won't do that too?
I actually think it's the opposite of masculine culture.
Like,
too. I think it's not feminine. It's something else. No, just fleeing from the difficult.
Well, no, but I'm saying in male circles. I feel like that is something that males would praise, or at least around my age range. That's something that happens.
So then I think we need to demand better. Thank you for coming up to the mic. I know it's not easy, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Have a good day, sir.
I know who you are because of who you voted for. You voted for a man who is sexually
Oh.
liable.
Here we go.
I know who you are. You
know who I am.
What does that make
Oh, hold on. Donald Trump has never sexually assaulted or raped anybody
You're
that is
full of
from the pit of hell.
You're full of
Oh, really? When did he do it? What year?
I don't know.
She didn't either in court. She didn't even remember the year. Who made the claim?
That is so harmful to say that because she. That is so harmful to say that because she doesn't remember the year that it doesn't.
Hold on.
Means she's wrong?
Eugene Carroll said rape is sexy. Was Donald Trump ever convicted of being a rapist?
That's not about.
Was Donald Trump ever convicted of being a rapist?
He was held civilly liable.
Civilly, not criminally. Why?
It doesn't matter. If he's held liable for something, he did
the
it.
threshold of civil and criminal is two completely different
So
things.
you want to say they're guilty when it's immigrants, but not when it's Trump?
Hold on.
You think there should be harder standards for someone to get into the country than become president?
Illegal immigrants are felons.
I don't care. That's not my question.
You just brought that up.
I'm saying that you think it should be harder for someone to get into the country than to become a president.
Yeah, again, it should be very hard.
You do?
Wait, hold on. I did not say that. What are you talking about?
You said yes.
Hold on. First of all, how
That's
dare you say it was
crazy.
easy for Trump to be president? He faced 700 years in federal prison and got shot on his way to the presidency. How dare you say that it's easy for him to be president?
Here. You just keep bringing up things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Things you don't like because they're facts you don't like. Let me repeat. Stop means stop. Facts. Intoxication is a gray area. An unwanted kiss of two teenagers on a park bench and a young man goes in does not make him a sexual assaulter. That is my final statement. Thank you very much.
None of this changes the fact. I'll go after
Thank
this.
you.
I'll go after this. None of this changes that you said that it was an unfair categorization. MAGA, all of you who support Trump, this is what you're voting for. A man who was held
Do you guys like what I said?
Of sexual.
Go away.
These people
Thank
are
you.
cheering for sexual assault.
I literally said stop means stop. When there's intoxication, there is a gray area. And if a teenage boy goes in for an unwanted kiss with a young girl, that does not make him a sexual assaulter for the rest of his life. Can we agree on those three things? My goodness.
Can you explain to me why a child who has been raped and is pregnant does not deserve an abortion?
Oh, yeah,
We
okay.
agree
So,
again.
well, first and foremost, I have two ultrasounds. One of the ultrasounds is a baby that was conceived in. The other ultrasound is a baby that is from a loving relationship. Can you tell me which one is which?
They're both the same.
I'm going to be fully honest, I do not know. Please inform me.
Well, you can't because they're both human beings. There's actually someone in this audience here that was conceived in. Can you tell me which one it is?
You can't tell.
I appreciate that you're actually looking around.
No, because you don't know, because human beings
Yeah.
conceived in actually are equal human beings of people not. The point being is that it is not morally correct to murder a human being, regardless of the circumstances of how that baby was put into this world, despite how evil and horrific that it is.
Okay, I just also want to continue that I mean this in full sincerity. I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. I genuinely think that the right to bear arms is brilliant because if someone invades your home, if someone is threatening your life, surely you'd want to vanquish them in order to protect your family. Is that fair?
Yeah, but a baby is not an invader of your home.
Even for a 12-year-old who will die in childbirth.
Well, hold on, that's a different question. So the question is, remember, my answer, which you're referencing a Jubilee video, was that if
I've never seen that video, but yes, of course.
Okay, but it's been well, let's just say documented that my view on it. If the woman or the 12-year-old were to live, then the baby should be delivered. Now, mind you, that abortion is never medically necessary to save a mother's life. Period. However, septicectomies are medically necessary, which are medical procedures to perform on a woman or a baby if the amniotic sac tears and the baby's head gets full of fluid, right? So I'm just trying to understand, if a 12-year-old's life is not in danger, you should try to save all lives involved.
True.
That's the position, is that you shouldn't try to eliminate the unborn baby, because that's still murder. And then let me ask you another question. In life, is it ever okay to do something evil after an evil?
I would say no.
We totally agree. So therefore, an evil, horrendous, unspeakable act happens of somebody getting raped, which is very rare, resulting in pregnancy. Therefore, continuing that cycle of evil is not the right moral thing to do.
Apply that now to the self-defense argument. Someone breaks into your house, starts beating up your son. Are you not going to shoot them?
Well, hold on, it's not the same thing. Let me give you another argument, which is that if in that instance there was an innocent life. Let me say this: if someone broke into my house,
Okay.
and all of a sudden that person had a baby strapped to their chest,
Yes.
I wouldn't shoot them. Would you?
No, because I think there's a certain utilitarian argument.
Okay, then we're agreeing.
But you said the word
Ted is very
baby, not the
smart.
word fetus.
What is the moral difference?
Are you familiar with the IUD contraception and how it can eliminate an embryo after conception?
Do you mean the copper IUD, or you mean a traditional IUD? There's two types of IUDs.
The one that was brought up to you in the other Dean Winter's video, the one I did see.
Yeah, so again, that was probably not. So copper, it kills almost all sperm. There is an IUD, but an IUD is not an abortifacient.
So you're pro contraception?
Well, personally, not really, but in society, of course, yes. I mean, again, these are personal decisions versus societal decisions. But I guess you said the question is, of a fetus and a baby, what is the moral difference between the two?
I'm so sorry for going on a tangent, but I want to ask you philosophically, what separates you, the man, Charlie Kirk, from the animals?
We are the speaking beings.
Exactly. I could not agree more.
I know, I'm Aristotelian at my core. So.
Wonderful, so am I.
You're a robot.
However, if a being cannot speak, that does not mean they're no longer human.
No,
though.
exactly, because I was actually going to clarify. Would you more say it's more rationality, or some might even say experience?
It's more than that, though. I believe that there's a deeper level, though, that the soul is the outgrowth of your rationality.
True.
But that has to be done practically, if I'm
Well,
right.
for example, this is actually flummoxing brain scientists right now. We don't know where consciousness is housed in the brain.
Very true, very
right?
true.
And so, you know your stuff. We don't know where consciousness is, and
Very
it's
true.
driving neuroscientists crazy. When someone is considered brain dead,
Yes.
the brain, it's an amazing story. An 11-year-old got in a horrific auto accident, was called brain dead, and all of a sudden, a year later, she has a period. And you're like, wait, I thought she's brain dead. When we cut into someone who's brain dead in their arm, their adrenaline increases. Someone who's brain dead, if a loved one starts to go up to them and talk to them, their heart rate increases. So even though there might not be brain waves, there's something else that is able to communicate with the outside world beyond reason. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And I think it's a mystery of what that is. I think it's the soul.
But I would say it's action, wouldn't you? It's action and experience.
No.
Why
It's
not?
It's more than that. Well, let me think deeper about what you mean by that. Go further.
I mean that I truly don't believe a person is a person until they commit an action, until they have thoughts. Because you said that.
But isn't growing in the womb an action?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Isn't growing in the womb an action?
No.
But so let me ask you a question. What action did my son have when he was born a minute old?
He starts crying.
Okay, so you consider that an action. So let me ask you a question. When my son was 12 weeks old, he was kicking in his my wife's womb. Is that an action?
Sure.
That's what I just said.
Sure.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Sure.
I literally almost,
sure.
you mentally got me.
Sure.
I was like, oh, maybe
Sure.
I was
no,
wrong.
but so you know.
Sure. I'm holding my hands up.
Let me go a step
Sure.
further. When my daughter was in my wife's womb, around 25 weeks, would recognize my voice and push up against her stomach. Is that an action?
Sure. Absolutely.
So therefore, we're worthy of
Word
moral
of life.
protection.
Yeah.
But if the mother's life is at risk,
Which is, again, let's be very clear. That is so incredibly rare, and abortion is never medically necessary to save a mother's life. There are other procedures outside of abortion that can save the mother's life.
Cesarean
For example, if you're 26 weeks pregnant and your uterine wall ruptures, which is a serious thing, they say abortion is the only solution. No, you can have the baby delivered by C-section, which is cesarean section, which is not an abortion.
Okay.
May I ask you a question if you don't mind?
of course, yes.
Let's put this really, really dark thought away, right? It's a terrible thing to be around. And it's a tough conversation to have.
But it does happen. I am sorry.
And
But yes,
100%,
you're right.
Absolutely. But let's just put that right here for a second. But if the woman was completely healthy, do you feel like she has the right, if she could healthily give the baby, do you think that she has the right to kill that baby as well?
That is the woman's choice. I'm a man. I cannot choose for her.
Now, can I ask you something? If, God forbid, you loved a woman and she was pregnant with your child, and you wanted this child with all of your heart, you dreamt about this child, and she has every right to walk into this building and remove your son away from you, you don't find that hurtful?
Not particularly, no, because it's her decision.
Okay, but again,
But it's your child.
I just want to get back to
Not
what you
till
said.
it's born.
But you said action determines moral worth. At what point does it become a human being?
After it exits the womb.
In order for your line of thinking to be correct, you say you're a man, you don't have a right to say over it. Why does the mom have a right to say over the baby if it's not her DNA?
Because it's... Sorry.
It happens to be in her?
Because it is her body.
No, it's another body in her body.
No, it's her body.
Yeah.
Well, no,
It's
the
another
baby's
body
different
inside
DNA,
her
though.
body.
So it's actually not her body. Because your DNA was not your mom's DNA. It's separate deoxyribonucleic acid. It's not a clone of the mom. It's an offspring of the mom.
Huh? Again, I don't see.
No, but you keep on saying it's her body. The baby is actually not her body. It's attached to her body through an umbilical cord.
So if the two entities are separate, then I can shoot a pregnant woman and the baby will be fine.
Well, no. One is temporarily dependent on the other. No different than my 1-year-old right now. If you came and killed all of us in our house, my baby would starve to death after 2 days, and no one would feed it. So how is that morally different? So why should 1-year-olds get moral protection and 10-week-olds should not?
Because a 1-year-old can't kill its own mother.
But remember, take that out of the equation. Say the mom's fine.
No, I'm not taking. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like this the truth. Like
how many times
birth
do you think
is painful. Birth is one of the women scream and and sweat and there is blood everywhere during a birth. It is not a nice thing.
Well,
From my perspective, it seems to me that Satan has captivated your heart to the most beautiful thing a woman goes through is childbirth. If you asked my mom what was the best day of her life, is giving birth. That is your perspective. Amen. That is not a true perspective.
Can you hear me? Oh. Hi, Mr. Kirk. I'm a student here, and I really appreciate you being here today to speak with us. I care a lot about protecting children and know that you value life as well. I understand that mental health and drug issues are a big part of the violence that we see every day in America, and I know that there's no black and white solution, but wouldn't implementing stronger background checks, especially for high-powered weapons like AK-47s, be a more reasonable and effective step to prevent school shootings and protect the children?
Sure, fine. So first of all, it is very difficult to purchase an AK-47. You're probably talking about an AR-15. That's probably what you're talking about, which is not an AK-47. We do have those background checks in a lot of states. I do have to ask, do you feel safe in California walking the streets at night in Los Angeles as a woman?
It depends which area.
How about right near the downtown convention center?
Not necessarily, no.
So remember, our goal is a safe society. So just stricter gun laws does not always equal a safer society. That's just number one.
Yeah,
And-
that's what I said. That's why I said that. I know that mental health is a big issue.
Huge.
But for instance, I have a 10-year-old little sister, and every day my parents stress about sending her to school for what could happen
it.
to her. So
That's a real question. Let me ask you, does that school have an armed guard?
I'm not entirely
That's
sure.
why you're stressing.
True.
That's a fair point.
Why do we protect our banks, our airports, and our sports stadiums with people with guns, but not our schools?
I think that's a fair point, and that
And I'm not discounting, the background check thing, but it's incredible moral perversion. You can't get in a Dodger Stadium without seeing 50 cop cars and people with guns everywhere. You can't go to LAX without going through basically a demilitarized zone. But you could go into a local Long Beach elementary school, and we decide to not protect our kids, so we protect our airplanes and our sports teams, but we don't protect our own children. And so you care about protecting children. I think that we should basically lock down these schools. People say, I don't want our schools to be militarized. Well, then you don't want to protect our kids? You don't think you want your money to be protected at your bank? You want the payday lender to be protected, but you don't want your own children to be protected. So that's my number one solution, all that. And then I would end on to it. Listen, a lot of mental health problems. I have a different view. I think gun ownership is a right, not a privilege. And I don't think the government should get in the way of our right to be able to own firearms.
True.
So what do you think that do you think that the government should get involved in adding armed guards to schools, or why
Yes.
isn't this more talked about? Because I feel like
in other states it is. Gavin Newsom would refuse to do this, of course. But in other states, after big school shootings, they have police officers parked outside. And in fact, school resource officers with guns have shown to prevent school shootings, limit school shootings, or even intervene before the school shooting happens. And it's going to show that these awful tragedies go from maybe 1 or 2 students dying, which is horrific, which it could have been 30 or 40 students dying, right? And so, again, at the fundamental core of it, which is your astute observation, almost every single case of these school shootings, there are some exceptions, they get the guns from their parents. It's also these kids that are in a very, very dark and troubled place. And almost always, there's warning, there's troubling signs, there are issues ahead of time that are ignored. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
This was very interesting to watch. I love every moment of it. From the first guy who came over here and talked about DEI, Charlie was very, very tolerating. Very tolerating. And Charlie really wanted to talk to him in a very respectful manner. But the guy was, at the end, he started being arrogant in a way. The problem we're having in black communities, I keep on saying this literally all my videos that have to do with DEI, is that we have lack of fathers in the home. It is obvious. It is happening in black cultures rapidly. It's increasing. The way it's increasing is very, very high. It's not just about education anymore. It's about the culture itself, the cultural aspect of people glorifying baby daddies, baby mamas. It's everywhere now. Whenever I see a black girl, it's possible she has a baby already. If you see check deep down, she's a baby mama. You understand? It's getting more rapid. It's getting more serious. And it's something we should talk about. Most of the fathers are basically not at home. Either they have divorced or they're in jail or they're dead. One of them. So you see single mothers, they are rapid everywhere. There are many. Single mothers everywhere. It's very, very serious. And our music aspect is not making it easy for us either. You understand? So I love Charlie's points of view with our students about DEI, and it's the truth. Governments are subsidizing single motherhood. A lot of women now want to be single. They just want to leave the men that impregnate them and, they're getting some funds from governments, which is crazy. Do you understand? So it's something we should talk about in black communities, and I say it most times, it's being ignored. And it's a very tough issue that a lot of black people keep ignoring. Intentionally, they keep ignoring that question, that topic every single time. Every time it is being brought up, they want to shut it down. The second guy who came about abortion, okay, that was the third guy who came about abortion. He's and a hypocrite is someone who is delusional. I feel like he needs time for his cognitive to grow because he's acting like a child in a way like, do you know what the pains mothers go through? Do you know the pains mother goes through? And you're not even a woman. And you feel like the woman has a right, even if you would love to have a child, the woman has a right to also abort the child. It's crazy. If a lady gets pregnant for me right now, it's kind of happen. I need to get married first before someone can get pregnant for me. Do you understand? But at the same time, if let's put an instance, a lady got pregnant for me now, and she says she wants to get rid of the baby. I would say it's a big no for me. It's anyone who knows me knows my policy. It's a big no for me. You have to give birth to that child. You understand? I don't support abortion. So you have to give birth to that child. That child has right to life, right to live. So that dude right there who was talking about bullshit, do you know the pains when that goes through? He's just saying bullshit. I think the second guy who was blabbing and also insulting Donald Trump and insulting Charlie, saying different words. That Charlie support Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the best thing that actually happened to Americans. Donald Trump is an incredible man. He has his head put straight. It was never easy for him becoming the president. Different assassination attempts on his life. And I'm very happy he bypassed that. Now he's the president. We are all seeing the good works he's doing. And a lot of people hate him, a lot of people call him Nazi, a lot of people call him fascist, but he's the best man for the job. This last guy who's talking about firearm, it is obvious we need more securities, more police officers in schools to protect. Because how are we going to protect our sports teams, our stadiums, also banks, and we are not protecting the school? A lot of students who get the guns for such violence are mostly from their parents, and are passing through a lot of trauma, a lot of issues, probably from their homes or from something they watched or something they saw somewhere. So it's something we should tackle. And if there's police in schools, the students that would probably die will actually be reduced, and such incidents will actually be prevented. So this was actually a beautiful to watch. I love how Charlie handled every single one of them. Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video to as many as can. Subscribe to our channel, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.